One of the things that I'm always screaming about is our inability to see what is right in front of us. Here, I'm talking about, well, we all know at some point we have to separate business from government. We don't live in a bubble. We aren't a secluded nation. We all see numerous indigenous nations separating the two. We see indigenous governments creating Section 16 and 17 corporations. We see these indigenous nations creating LLCs. These indigenous nations understand that the sands of time are shifting under their feet and that they must react if they are to survive. We must react to these same shifting sands if we wish to be financially solvent in the future. If we wish to live in the largesse of the federal and state governments along with private charities, then by all means, let's continue venturing down the path we are on. Look at the Seminole Nations of Florida. Look at the Poarch Creek of Alabama. Look at the Southern Ute of Colorado. These indigenous nations have extended their business dominion past their reservation and trust lands, past state lines, to become nationwide concerns, nationwide indigenous business entities. Look at the Pokagons of Michigan, who just gained federal recognition around 30 years ago. Now they are a multi-state entity negotiating compacts with 2 different states. We both sought gaming sites at the same time. They are operating, not building a temporary site. They are operating said casino in Indiana. Finally, how about the Iowa tribe of Kansas and Nebraska? They plan to build a shipping nexus on the Missouri River and leverage a free trade zone. This allows the owners to import and then export foreign goods without paying an excise tax, duty, or tariffs under certain conditions. I bring this up again to point out our legislature's refusal to separate business from government. I understand it though. When you have a problem and you open your toolbox and all you have is a hammer, every problem is a nail. And this is where we're at. We have operated in the same manner for over 30 years, and not only haven't we evolved, we've fallen further behind. For some strange reason, our government has made every effort to retard our own growth, and guess what? They succeeded. Our latest example is the Ho-Chunk Nation's legislature creating an economic diversification director. What? The Ho-Chunk Nation has a business department. The Ho-Chunk Nation has 12 clans, a separate business entity that is begging for the opportunity to drag the nation out of the financial doldrums we find ourselves sitting in. Fourth World Design Group, a consulting firm engaged by the legislature earlier this year, they completed a study that reveals the majority of Ho-Chunks want the legislature and the office of the president to separate business from government. What does the Ho-Chunk Nation do? We create another bureaucratic department. Please understand me when I say sincerely, I mean no disrespect to the individual sitting in the economic diversification chair. I'm sure that you are more than qualified and you do the best you can with the tools that the legislature will supply you with. It's a new day. Fire has been invented. The wheel has been invented. The steam engine has been invented. The microchip has been invented. Indigenous nations have seen that separating business from government works, hiring professionals to create not just jobs, but careers, not just money, but wealth. This separation seems obvious to everyone except our legislature, who are busy trying to maintain power for the institution and remain relevant within the nation. This economic diversification director, this secretarial election to seize control of our general counsel, are the last gasp of a fading institution. Instead of doing what they promised, quote unquote, to help their people, our legislature is fighting tooth, fang, and claw to remain the force within our nation. Our legislature is a force within our nation. Unfortunately, they are increasingly showing themselves to be a negative force. Legislature, just give us a timetable when you will divest yourselves of all business functions. There's nothing wrong with helping out your people.